everyone. Welcome to the sixth edition of Imagine This Women's Film Festival. My name is Susie Francois, and I'm one of the co-founders. Right now, I'm going to have the filmmakers introduce themselves. We're going to go around the room. And who wants to start?
I can start. My name is Denise Jolem. I am the writer, co-producer, and co-star of Sundays in July.
Thank you. Joseph, do you want to go next?
Sure. Hi, I'm Joseph Austin II, and I'm the director of Sundays in July.
Thank you.
I'm Juanita Peters. Well, go ahead then.
I'm Juanita Peters, and I am the director and contributing writer of 837 Rebirth.
Thank you.
I'm Marty Williams, and I'm one of the producers of 837 Rebirth.
Thank you. Manny and Lindsay?
Hi, I'm Lindsay. This is Manny. We are co-producers, co-writers, and co-directors of Dark Tales from Channel X.
Thank you. Thank you. And if you guys could just, we're going to go around, if you guys could just give us a brief description of your projects.
Yeah, Sundays in July follows two lovers over the course of 3 summers. It's set in New York City, and it's about two people trying to make a relationship last.
Thank you. And I'm sorry, Manny, did you get a chance to introduce yourself?
Oh, we'll speak for both of us. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Hi. Joseph?
Yeah, I second what Denise said. It's basically a snapshot of a young couple's evolution over the course of 3 summers, and these are 3 specific events that define their relationship.
Okay, thank you. And Manny?
We're Dark Tales from Channel X is a horror anthology film. It's about a girl who finds an old TV set in the basement of the house where she's babysitting, and it turns itself on, and we're treated to 7 horrific tales.
Thank you for sharing that. Juanita?
837 is a psychological thriller, and it really is about 3 individuals who make a split decision that changes their lives forever.
And Marty?
Yeah, just about what Juanita said.
Okay, thank you. And if you guys can just share with us, how did you guys come up with the concept for your project?
Well, Sundays in July was something that had lived on my laptop, as most writers' work tends to live somewhere for a very long time. It was on my laptop since like 2012, I want to say, maybe 2011. And Joseph and I had the pleasure of working with him on his short film entitled One Chance. And we just had such a great working chemistry along with our cinematographer, Jeremy Harris. And we just decided that, hey, why don't we knew we wanted to work together. So we just decided to make a feature together. And then Joseph called on our other producer, Naquan Green, and we were just able to make it happen.
Great.
You want to go?
It's sort of an amalgam, Channel X. It started off as a number of short films that we produced. And then we were trying to make a series with it, and we just don't have the stamina. We're not series people. We like features. You know, this is our third feature.
It's gonna be a third. Yeah, it's like when you do season 1 of a series, you're kind of implying that there's going to be a season 2 or 3. And it's like, okay, great. Now we're committing to 10 or 20 more short films, and it's like we like to do short films when we have an idea, something that we want to do that's short, rather than just being obligated to them. So instead of taking it as a series, we put it together as a feature film.
And then, like Denise said, we've had an idea that we've been kicking around for probably like 7 years now of the girl finding the TV, and we just never really knew what we were gonna do with the idea. And we slowly, as we started like doing a lot of festival tours with the shorts, we started realizing that we have an obsession with haunted objects. And so we were able to actually kind of make a connection between our girl finding the TV, and then eventually in the basement she finds the objects.
Yeah.
So it kind of fell together in a really weird way.
And is that how you guys started working together with making horror films?
We've been making films for probably 12 years now. We're also married.
Okay.
Shared passion.
Shared passion. And so yeah, we've been making films for about 12 years now. And like I said, we did 2 other features. Then we started moving into shorts to kind of start playing with like different camera equipment and different storytelling perspectives. We were really just starting to play with the short films. And then eventually we just kind of saw that they all connected.
And how is it working like together as a married couple?
It's
I couldn't do it any other way, honestly.
No.
Like,
Oh, nice.
most of our time working together, she's been the producer and I've been the director. The last few years, she's been starting to direct her own shorts, and I've been trying to do her level of producing, but she's an amazing producer.
Oh,
So I end up being more of an AD than anything else. Just kind of keeping things moving. But yeah, I can't do her level of producing. So I feel the scales are a little tipped in one direction. But we love working together. I couldn't have done any of my stuff, any of my features, if it wasn't for her being producer.
Oh,
and I
nice.
think it's like,
nice to hear.
I think everybody here, even like everybody I see has partners, and I think, it is a very collaborative art form. And I think it's just the benefit where like when we are in production or pre-production, it is a 24/7 thing. So we'll be cooking dinner and you're like, oh, wait, I have this idea. And so it's nice to have that like 24/7-ness to it. But there's also like, you have to draw very clear boundaries where it's like when we have, a tense moment on set, it's sort of like, I'm talking to you as the producer right now, not as your wife, and but I think everybody needs to find that sort of working relationship with their creative partners.
Oh, nice. Juanita and Marty?
Yeah, so 837 began with an actual event that happened in one of our co-producers and lead writer's life. So when he was a kid, this incident happened where an immigrant storekeeper is shot and killed in the store by young fellas. And so this is loosely inspired by that. And we take the events in a whole other track. That's where it began. And so then it becomes, what is the story we really want to tell? What's it really about? And, are there any lessons to be learned from this? So, we take that story and we turned it into a story about a young kid who's obsessed with math and his obsession with trying to alter the outcome of his father's death through his life. And then that obsession increases when the fellow who murders his father gets out of prison 20 years later. So now he's a high-level mathematician in a university, but this makes his brain go in a very bad direction. And so it's how far will this go is what it is. And it's a nice little ride.
Yeah, so he's just spiraling down, and the father coming out of prison, he's trying to get on with his life.
Yeah.
And did you know them personally, or you just read about
No,
the story?
no, this is all fiction.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It sounds like it could be something that was, based on a true story.
Yeah, and that's what we're hoping. We're hoping that people look at these characters and recognize some real intricate components to their characteristics and the things that they're going through. It's really about trauma and what trauma can do, and about a memory. The way that memory really plays with us. So,
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And if you guys could share with us some of the challenges, if you did, and I'm sure you did, face while filming, and how did you overcome them, and if you learned, and what did you learn?
You want me to start? I can start.
Yes.
I can say for us, as I'm sure everybody here, we all had challenges during COVID. And of course, in particular for us, we also had children. 2 main characters in our show are children. So there are a lot of concerns there. We had to, we lost a lot of the venues or the sites, the locations because of COVID, and had to change a lot of those. Just the sheer issues with dealing with a production during COVID in general, and all the testing you have to do, and the rules around the crew. I think, in terms of story, there wasn't a lot of issues, Marty, in terms of story.
No, the story was pretty well written by the time we had to shut down. That was the thing that we were ready to go to camera on March 17th, and we shut it down on March 16th.
Yeah.
For the first run.
And then the whole province shut down 3 days later.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we were actually happy that we made the choice that we made, because we could have had 2 or 3 days of shooting.
Yeah.
And then we would have been held up for that many months later, because that was March. We actually didn't go to camera for real in November until November, December. And if you can imagine, when you have little kids, they grow a lot in 3 months.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, that's right. We had to recast so some of the actors as well. So it got tricky.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
That was a lot in 2020.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you guys were able to finally complete the film.
Yes, thank you.
Of course. And I'm gonna turn to Joseph, if you can tell us how you came up with the concept, and what are some of the challenges that you faced.
Excuse me. Well, thank you. For me, one of my favorite films is Barry Jenkins' Medicine for Melancholy. And so, when you don't have a lot of financial resources, For me, I just started simplifying things. And so I remember when I called Denise and said, "Hey, I want to make a feature." I remember her plays, and it really spoke to me. But also, I knew that because they were plays and they were set in interior spaces, I'm like, if I just create a visual language, I can adapt her plays into a film set. And then I just, from there, I just started simplifying it. And I'm like, okay, the way she structured it, they were, 3 acts, and essentially, three big scenes. So essentially, we would be shooting like 3 short films, but each one like was one location, so we wouldn't be moving a lot. So that really cut down on like, you know, any cost that we had. And so like we were just very economical. We used my apartment for one of the scenes. Denise, one of her friends, was gracious enough to let us use her space. So we were just very economical. And like when I said that this film was like micro budget to its core, it was. But I think that also forced us to be more creative. We didn't have any lights like Jeremy, our cinematographer, was using clamp lights. He was using candles. So it's like very, of course, using natural light. And then that also led to, my aesthetic choice of wanting to shoot black and white. And so, for me, I just was just like, we don't have a lot of resources, but what we do have, how can we maximize it? And so, that was just like, and for me, it was like, let's take risks. I think one of the biggest things a lot of people don't really talk about is like from post-production side of it, for me, was very daunting. And it took a while for me to edit the film because I'm like, well, people get this. Because it's not structured in your normal narrative. Like, it has a unique structure to it. It has these act breaks in it. It combines a lot, like it's poetic. There's just a lot going on in it. And so like I just really wanted to take artistic liberties, but I wanted to embrace what we didn't have and just figure out a creative way to tell something original and to serve Denise's story. And so her and Greg on is their two faces for 90 minutes. So it's just like for me, we really chose like a cinema verite approach where it's just like a fly on the wall. I didn't want to get in their way, get in their process because they had an amazing chemistry going. And so like yeah, like I mean, of course, normal challenges like because we didn't have a lot of money, you can't rent spaces for like this mass amount of time. So like we lost a day of shooting because we were shooting in Flatbush in like this West Indian community, and they were just playing music all day. And so it was like we couldn't battle with that. So like literally, we lost the day. But instead of us, being upset about it, I was just like, well, we're here together. Let's rehearse. And so, granted, like these probably, I don't know, we probably shot like 20 pages the next day because we lost the day. But because they had that time in the space and the time with the script and that chemistry going, we were able to just knock it out. And after a while, it didn't become a factor that we lost an entire day, of shooting. So,
And I
overall,
love
it was,
that. Yeah, I
yeah,
love that we
it was
had
an
that
amazing process.
Yeah,
Yeah,
coming
absolutely.
from like a playwriting background. And I love that Joseph was able to really capture that vision that I had, because I'm used to working in like literally like black box theaters, and I love that type of work. And I see you nodding, Lindsay, because it's that type of work where you are able to just like really sit and really be with people in the space. And I feel as an audience member transformed when I'm able to get that really intimate experience. I notice that I feel sometimes very viscerally, physically different from when I enter the space, from when I leave the space. And that was very much our intention with Sundays in July, is to really have that intimate, close feel where you're really getting deeper into two people's psychologies, and how not just how they feel for each other on an outwardly level, but just deeper, and having deep conversations that you may not always get a chance to hear. And I just appreciate that Joseph got it. Like I to this day, I'm in awe of both Joseph and Jeremy, and how they were just able to capture the vision and communicate it so clearly. And I think it does provide the audience with that visceral, intimate experience that one may get with theater.
I also want to add that, Joseph, I'm always amazed how when artists talk about how one of their main challenges was financial, coming up with the funds to make their film, excuse me, and then somehow they're able to come up with stuff and I guess think outside of the box. So I'm always amazed by that. Denise, if you can tell us, as an actress and the writer, what was it like?
In terms of, well, it felt very natural to me. I had been doing plays since I graduated college. I went to, and the work felt very similar to the work that we did at school. I went to something called the Experimental Theater Wing at the Tisch School of the Arts. And that whole program was just about self-scripting, creating your own work, saying what needs to be said, physicalizing it to be able to create the characters. And so with that, like what Joseph said, when Greg and I, the gentleman who plays Trent, had the opportunity to rehearse, we really rehearsed it as we would a play. And that summer before we shot, I was in Los Angeles, he was in Georgia at the time, and we rehearsed via Skype as if we were rehearsing a play. We had the entire script memorized before we even got to set. And so we were able to do it as if it was a play. And so we were able to like just shoot, like just go and really be in it and really listen and really respond and really just, I don't know, it really just feel each other's energy. So it felt, the work felt very familiar. It felt like, the work that I would do if I was doing a play, to be honest.
Thank you. And Manny and Lindsay, how did you guys come up with these modern urban legends films for the
I think it's just, we're both really into like a lot of the urban legends. So it's a lot of
creepy pastas
and podcasts that we've been listening to. And, I'm a big true crime fanatic, which kind of like melds into like urban legends very well. So I think like a lot of the ideas, it was very interesting, this project, because it was very piecemeal, because we would make a short and then we would put it out in the film festival. And then it was really great because when we went back to put them all together, we could kind of take a lot of the things that we learned on the festival circuit, those moments that really hit well, or the moments that kind of lulled. So we could take another look at the films together, separately, and we made some minor adjustments to each of them, based on their festival runs. But I think that the real challenge was kind of finding, number one, the wraparound story that connected everything as a whole. And then the other thing was kind of finding the flow in post-production, where how you were going to combine all the pieces into something that made sense. So like one of the biggest challenges we had was mastectomy. That was actually made as part of a challenge that the horror industry did. There's a movie called ABCs of Death, and they had 26 directors shoot 26 individual shorts, each with a letter. So they actually opened up M to the public in the competition. So you had to choose an M word and how somebody died. And I'm not usually one, I like to have a little meat to my projects. So we searched high and low for an M word that we both agreed on. And he had come up with, he's like, well, what's something that, because this is a public competition, what's something that nobody's going to touch? So he was like, what about mastectomy? Which was really personal to me because I've had 3 aunts go through a double mastectomy, and my mother had breast cancer, and she survived, and she only had a lobectomy. So it kind of was like a way to kind of talk about something that's never ever talked about. So for that particular piece, when we came up with that one, it actually follows a woman. It's a silent piece. It's one woman, one light, one mirror. And that was the challenge when we went into production on that particular piece. And it was, how do you fit this in? It's such a heavy piece because it's all about after her double mastectomy, she's now looking at herself in the mirror and none of her clothing fits the way it used to because clearly there's pieces of her missing. And it's kind of her looking at the aftermath of a double mastectomy. And it's such a heavy piece. How do you fit that in with the rest of the pieces, which are some are a little bit more lighthearted? You know, we have Beneath, which has like a killer teddy bear to it. We have, you know, a nesting doll demon. So it's like, how do you kind of fit a real life monster in with the kind of supernatural monster? So it took us a long time to kind of find the flow from one project to from one piece to the next. That was our biggest challenge. And then well, COVID slowed it down too. We got lucky that we shot the final wraparound in November 2019. No, January. We did the viewer. Oh, okay, yeah. We did the viewer stuff, which is just the host in the TV set. Yeah. We shot that stuff in January of 2020. So we had finished it just before, and then in March, when everything shut down, anybody who works in post-production, you know that this became busy time for you. Yeah. Suddenly, every film that everybody had, oh, well, you know what? Here, well, now we can't shoot, so let's finish this. And suddenly, every editor and every graphic designer, their workload went through the roof. Yeah. You know, so my sound designer, my graphics guy, both got booked for months in advance. And being low budget, these are guys that I've worked with for a long time. You know, they give us a break on price, and they're cool knowing that it's a lower budget project. But it's like when Netflix gives them an email and says, hey, we need this done, sorry, but you have to wait. Netflix is coming first, you know. So we didn't get I sent them everything in January, and that's when their stuff had started, you know, going up. I don't think we got the film back and finished till about June. Yeah. And that's when I finally had a completed set to, you know, send out to film festivals. And that's the worst, the waiting. Yeah. When you finally, like, everything on your side is checked off, and now it's like, it's going to the sound mixer and it's going to the colorist, and then you just literally have to sit there and wait. Yeah. 6 months where like, I literally can't do a damn thing with the movie. I can't touch a second because the sound guy has it and the color guy has it. Anything I change, I have to give them the new version, and they got to start over in that scene and find a way to fix it. Yeah. That was the biggest one. Otherwise, I mean, Mastectomy we shot in 2013. Yeah. So this is like almost 8 years of short films being put together. So the amount of issues we've had over the years, couldn't possibly remember them all. I mean, one of the shoots got rained out 3 weeks in a row by a hurricane. Yeah. We literally had we had a huge storm, then we had a hurricane, then there was like an ice storm. Yeah. 3 Mondays in a row. Well, I was laughing when Joseph talked about Bushwick you were shooting in. We have shot one of them right by Prospect Park, and they decided like there was an impromptu protest, and they had the PA system, and it was like, so there's a guy on a PA right down under, like we're right outside we're in an apartment 3 floors up outside the park, and this guy's on a PA, and there's just like there's got to be 1,000 people protesting outside. Yeah. We're shooting it. So I'm like, oh Jesus, here we go.
You can't tell them to move over, right? I'm shooting here.
It was 10 minutes.
Well, I think it was like a protest you agree with too. Yes. So you're like, yes, I agree with you. Yes, thank you for being out there and fighting the good fight. But like, it doesn't go with the.
Did you come back tomorrow?
Yeah, really. Manny, so did this take you like a couple years for you to do the shot for the film?
I mean, they were short films we did over years, and we just now compiling them. So the Mastectomy was done in 2013. Sleepless was done in 2015. And then we did Au Pair and Knock Knock in 2016. Waited for You and Beneath was 2017, 2018. You know, and then Matryoshka was 2018. So like every year we want to make sure that between our features, we're constantly doing something. So at least we're in the festival circuit all the time. So we'll put together a little 10-minute short. And because I mean, we just kind of, you know, you come up with ideas for scripts, and like you said, they just kind of sit there. So like something that's doesn't get past the log line. Okay, well, let's turn this into a 5-page script and see how we can at least get the brunt of the idea together. Like I said, we like creepypasta stories. So when it comes to horror movies, you've all seen the end. Once the killer shows up, you know what happens from there. So all of these stories kind of end on that moment. You know, there's the one girl where she realizes something's wrong, and now he's standing behind her. Story's over. You know, we have the curse. They finally everything. The demon pops up, and story's over. Because from that point, you know what's going to happen. You've seen it 1,000 times. The horror is in the buildup. So all of these stories are about the buildup.
Yeah, I mean, when you make features, you know, it's a whole different beast than a short film. And we've always kind of looked at short films as a way to grow and challenge ourselves. So like some of them, like I Waited for You, I think you got a brand new piece of camera equipment, and we were like, what can we shoot? You know, let's go into like, you know, the big trapper keeper of all the ideas, you know, and what can we shoot to that would use this piece of equipment? And then, you know, like, for example, Beneath was my very first one that I directed myself. So that was like a whole different exercise for me, coming from a producer into the director's seat. But we've always used short films as just kind of ways to challenge and develop ourselves in between features.
Thank you. It looks like we have Hank that just joined us.
Yes.
Introduce yourself and tell us your role and the name of the project.
My name is Hank White. I'm a producer with 837 Rebirth and co-writer. And I'm Mi'kmaq from Halifax, from Nova Scotia. And I'm calling you from Halifax. Sorry, I was a bit late.
That's okay. No worries. Thank you for joining us.
I was just volunteering for the cancer run here, so.
Oh, that's very important. Yes. That's very important. And Juanita?
Oh, I thought I'd answer that. We were talking about complications, right?
Yes. Oh, you did that. Yes.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you guys, what did you want to convey to the audience, and if you wanted them to learn anything from your project as well?
I think for me, one of the things that I wanted to convey was that your life can change in an instant, and we don't always know what we think we know. We don't always know a whole story or all people's story. We see what we see on a surface, and that we should be very diligent and very careful about the decisions we make in life, even though it's normal for, you know, us to do a certain thing and not think that it may have any repercussions, but everything we do, everything we say, there's a cost to it. So I hope the audience really takes that away.
Thank you. Hank, if you'd like to answer that as well. And it's also, if you can tell us, how did you find get in touch with Juanita? What's the relationship also with Marty to put this project together?
Marty and I have known each other for quite a while. I did my first feature was Charlie Zone, and actually Marty worked for Telefilm and accepted my script in for development. And it took us 7 years to get Charlie Zone done. It only took 4 with the COVID to get 837 done. So Marty and I have been friends for quite a while, and Juanita, same thing. when I've been involved in the film industry for quite a few years, and diversity has always been my mainstay. Um, Seeing Indigenous and visible minority people in the crew, not just the cast, but in the crew, because the acting parts are few in between, but it takes a big crew to do a film. And over my career, I'm an invisible Indigenous uh, person, so uh, nobody knows unless I tell them that I'm Mi'kmaq Cree Acadian. And so I was able to infiltrate and be an advocate for bringing people of color in. That I grew up in a predominantly Black and Indigenous neighborhood as a child, and I saw racism firsthand from my mother and my older brother, and and then seeing from my friends the racism that they had gone through. So when I had a chance to do casting back in the 80s, early 80s, I did a lot of diverse casting and bringing people along of color into the film industry. And then in 2004, I just started producing shorts. Actually, 2000, I started producing shorts. And my writing partner, Joe Leclerc, and I um, decided to make sure that we had shadows that we had Indigenous people and visible minority in our crew. And in 2004, when I did a really good short called The Cab Driver, I called the GC here and asked them if they had anybody of color of that. And they said, no, we don't. I said, you have 500 members and you can't look out and say that's a person of color. Isn't that a shame? So that's when I went full hog with the Indigenous and Visible Minority Shadow Program. So that was really the birth of it. And I invited others to take it, steal it, use it, make it. And CBC did way back in the Street Sense, the children's finance TV show was one of those shows that used diversity in their cast. And then from Charlie's Zone, I made sure that I had my crew was diverse. But for this particular one, 837, I brought Juanita on because Juanita had not had a chance to direct a feature film. And I wanted her to direct this particular film, knowing her and knowing what she had done, and wanting to give her that break. And recently, because of events, people have been jumping on the bandwagon. It's always nice to know that, hey, I was there before it became fashionable. But I'm happy that it's becoming fashionable because it shows that we can be part of a crew, part of a cast, and put into this film industry. So we had 6 Indigenous people on our shadow program working, and I'm proud to say that all of them have gone on to work full time in the film industry. And one of them is actually coming on with my next feature as a co-writer trainee. So Joe and I are going to be mentoring her in writing the script with us for Janice, another feature film. I try and stay with what I know, Indigenous stories and visible minority stories and problems. So I try and incorporate that in the scripts that we do. Joe's a very dark writer, and I'm a comedic writer. So we marry the two when we write the scripts. And Juanita came on with 837 to put it together and do a rewrite with us on it to make it the kind of movie that you see now. The ending is her ending, and I had a different ending, and I was almost married to it. And then Joe said, just watch it and listen to it. And then as I kept reading it over and over again, I said, you know what? That's one hell of an ending. So I'm
And
hoping the audience gets it.
full disclosure, Juanita and I are married.
Oh, okay.
Yes, yes.
Thank you for
After
sharing
the movie. They were together before the movie, but
We
they
have
were
two married
married.
couples.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you for sharing
And
that.
full
Joseph-
disclosure, Marty and I aren't married.
That would be another movie. No,
That'd be another
That
movie.
would be.
Yes. So Joe is more of a superhero type writer. So we do have another movie called an animation called Captain Beavertail and the Northern Avengers.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
But
Thank you.
anyway, thank you.
Thank you. And Joseph, what message were you trying to convey, or if you, what do you think people should take away from the film?
For me, it's that love is evolving. People are forever evolving. And one of the I made the film basically 2 weeks after I got married, and so Denise's script helped me more about transparency, honesty, and just being your truest self. Like you see when we first meet, like our character Trent, he has this bravado about him, this borderline, this ego about him. But as you see within the film, you see him evolving, and you see him softening up and him being more transparent, more open, and communicating better. And then you see, they move past, Monica and Trent move past one obstacle and they're met with another one. And then they communicate and work through that through transparency. And then they go from that into another one. And it's forever evolving into what you see, at the end of the film. And so, like, for me, I think it's just, the biggest thing is, the importance that I want people to take from the film is one is just transparency and communication, and then just understanding that it's a process, and it could take somebody could change within a week, some people could, a month, a year, but you just have to give people time and meet them where they're at. And like I said, I think the biggest thing for me is just like it's just a process, and there's no quick fix, and it's very, like when Denise came, when she told me that what the title was, Sundays in July, and it was just about, to me, about reflection and seeing growth. So like, when I thought about it, I'm like, oh wow, like I always said I wanted to make the film black and white from an economical standpoint, but then like when she had the name, because the script was untitled for months, and I was like, oh, this is like a snapshot of, these are memories that build to where they are today, so yeah, just anything is possible. And just overall just being transparent and honest.
Thank you. Manny and Lindsay?
You want to go?
No, it's on you. I don't know.
Well, it's funny with horror, you're working with certain tropes in the horror industry, especially. So a lot of the stories do kind of follow that setup. But I think the biggest thing, at least for me, is presenting people, especially when it comes to female characters. Where you get so used to it. When we first met, it's funny. I did not like horror films at all. And he has been a huge horror fan his entire life. And, he was kind of, when we first met and you're getting to know each other, and he was like, do you like horror movies? And I was like, no. There's always some girl in a wet white t-shirt running up the stairs when she should be running out the door. And I said, I have no interest in watching that. So a big thing for me is always the representation of women on the screen. And I think we kind of present a different variety of women with Channel X, where we do have women that are doing great things. With Beneath was a really big thing for me because it came out right after the election of 2020. The election, let's just 2016. And it was my own kind of anger and helplessness, where it was, I'm a survivor of sexual assault, and I think I kind of wanted to talk. I wanted to join with the discussion of Me Too, and kind of that helplessness, especially in the internet age, where there are no police of the internet. So you have like revenge porn, and you have these people who are posting videos and without people's consent. And that helplessness of like, where does that go? Who can you
Context.
go to? Yeah.
No, the context of the story is though. So
Sorry.
the context of how she's explaining it is that the story is about a girl who finds out that her boyfriend has been recording their private moments and putting them on his, I think we called it Ghost Snap.
Ghost Snap.
So he's been uploading their videos of them together, and she finds out and comes up with a way of getting back at him.
Yeah. And then, you know, we have that, I added an extra twist at the end of that where she not only gets her revenge, but she finds out her best friend has also been sleeping with her boyfriend. And she initially planted the idea in his brain of like, well, I let you record me, why wouldn't she? And you know, I think I wanted to play a lot more where you can see women as villains, and it's okay. You don't have to be that final girl where you need to go through hell and be stalked by some crazy maniac and go through hell, and then you get to be a hero. Like I'm so over that. Like I love my final girls, but it's like we need a different narrative. So we really played with like different roles that women have, or, you know, we do have her where, you know, she's justified, she's pissed, and there's no one that can help her. So what do you do with that anger? So yeah, she takes a bad route, but her best friend also takes another one. But then we also have a lesbian couple, which they're just out for the night, you know, and they're not like, there's no like cleavage showing, they're not overly sexualized, they're just, you know, a couple of girls that are not put together, and they're actually going to pursue one of their love interests, and they're just people. And I think that was the biggest thing for me, just in anything we do. But a lot of the pieces of Dark Tales was just presenting people being people.
Thank you. Thank you.
I tend to write very gender neutral as well. So when we cast, I can see anyone in the role. Like I just write, because I feel as a director, I feel the actors bring the characters to life. So the script is a blueprint of the scene, and then each actor is going to bring something different. So let them do that. You know, like the Waited for You, which was the two women going out. Or when I wrote it in my head, it was two guys, and that's how the original script was. And I just wrote it that way. And then I changed the names, and I said, well, wait a minute. I think Sarah and Angie can play these characters just as well. And they changed very, very little dialogue, and just did it. And I'm like, see, people are just people. Like there's always, sometimes you try to write for this and write for that, and it's like, that's not your voice. So it ends up sounding very, what's the word? In not genuine.
Disingenuous. Yeah.
Disingenuine.
Not genuine when you're trying to write for a different voice. So I'm not a woman. So if I'm going to cast women, I let them change it themselves and let the actors bring the characters to life. And most of these stories were written that way. So that this way, when we did cast, we could go in any direction we wanted with any of them, and then let the actors bring it to life. So that allowed us to do a lot of really different things with as far as character wise on screen.
Thank you. And if you guys can share any projects that you're currently working on, where we can find you, if you have a website, your social media handles.
We're massgravepictures.com. You can find us there. I'm Mass Gravette, like a rocket, but Mass Grave.
And I'm generally an MGP director, but you just go to our website, massgravepictures.com. All of our socials are on there, our videos, our trailers. This is just starting our run. So this film is pretty much what we have right now. We don't know where we're going next. I said earlier, we're actually at a festival right now. Our in-person premiere is in about an hour. So this is brand new.
Good luck with that.
Thank you.
So we'll be doing the festival circuit for the next few months with Dark Tales. That's it.
Congratulations with that. Juanita?
There, sorry, I was muted. I have no media handles.
That's okay.
Yeah, and I've basically been doing a little bit of series television. I direct an episode of Digstown. Pardon me. And so you know, I'm always writing. I'm in the middle of writing something new right now, but I'm always writing, and I usually have, 2 or 3 things, on the roster in terms, it just, it's what comes off first. And what comes off first is the first thing that gets the next attention, right? So yeah, you're just, constantly crafting, and, I don't have to look far for ideas. They're all around you. And yeah, so anyway, it's all good.
They can see you on our website for 837rebirth.com.
Thank you. Marty? I think your mic is off.
So I was saying that I've just looked to see what is the next project that we have going. We've got 2 or 3 sort of percolating in the background, and I just want to see which one starts boiling a bit more and start working on that. So with us, we're into the development phases right now, and trying to get funding and all that sort of thing.
All that fun stuff, right?
Oh yeah, all the important stuff.
Hank?
As I said, the projects that we have, I'm hankwhite.ca, easy to get to show some of the work that's been done. We're on IMDb as well.
Mm-hmm.
But Marty and I will be doing projects together for a while.
Oh, great. Joseph?
We were fortunate enough to win a grant from Panavision, which essentially kind of
nice.
greenlit our next film. So I'll let if Denise wants to give any details about it, but yeah, I'm excited. And we'll be shooting next summer.
Oh, nice. Congratulations.
Yeah. Currently, I mean, the script is almost done, but I feel like, you writers understand where that's at. It's like a painting. It's like you can always be adjusting, and it'll never be done. But yeah, so currently working on that script. We're super excited to begin pre-production for that. And like Juanita said, it's a constantly writing, currently working on a web series now, and I'm set to produce actually my first book, or publish, my first book. It's a book of poetry, and it'll be out next January. That's entitled Poems About You. So, yeah.
Oh, nice. And your social media?
Yeah, my social media is at Denise Yolene, and you can also find me at www.deniseyolene.com.
Okay. And you, Joseph, your social media handle, or?
My social media is at Joseph Austin II on all social media.
Okay, thank you. And Vanny and Lindsay? Oh, they did? You guys, okay. Thank you.
It's very simple with one, so it's easier to knock it off easily.
Oh, yes. Thank you, everyone, for joining us and sharing your work with us. We look forward to seeing more work from you all.